teeth should be. I covered my shock and didn't let it show. Both top and bottom incisors had been worn away by his continual grinding and rubbing of them together. One of the supervisors of the school rushed over to me and said, "Oh, his name is Michael. He's very intelligent, but he doesn't speak." I heard Michael's story from the supervisor. Apparently, when he was a toddler in his playpen, he witnessed his father shooting his mother. Then, putting the gun to his own head, the father killed himself. It was close to 3 days before the neighbors broke in to find the dead and swollen bodies of his parents. The dehydrated and starving little boy was stuck in his playpen, sitting in his own filth. The orphaned Michael disappeared into the foster care system, eventually ending up in the boarding school. No one had ever heard him speak. In the ensuing weeks of dance class, I built and developed choreography for Michael and his classmates. In the spring, they were scheduled to dance in a spectacular NDI show called the Event of the Year. At the boarding school, I used Michael as the leader and as a model for the others, and began welding all of the kids together, inventing a vigorous and energetic dance to utilize their explosive energy. It took a while, but they were coming together little by little over the months. And through all that time, the best in the class, the determined and concentrating Michael, never spoke. That spring, dancers from the 22 different schools with which the NDI had dance programs were scheduled to come together at Madison Square Garden for the Event of the Year. There would be more than 2,000 dancers, a symphony orchestra, a jazz orchestra, a chorus, Broadway stars, narrators, and Native American Indian drummers. There was scenery that was the length of an entire city block, and visiting guest children from 6 foreign countries coming to dance with our New York City children. All of these elements had to come together and fit into a spectacular performance with only 1 day of rehearsal. The foremost challenge was how to get 2,000 dancing children on stage for the opening number. At NDI, we have developed a system called the runs. First, we divide the stage into a grid with colored lines making the outlines of box shapes, making a mosaic of patterns and shapes on the stage floor. Each outlined box holds a class from one of the schools, which consists of 15 to 30 children. Then we add various colored lines as tracks, starting off stage and leading to the boxes. The dancers line up in the wings, hallways, and various holding areas on either side of the stage. At the end of the overture, they burst onto the stage, running and leaping, and following their colored tracks to their respective boxes, where they explode into the opening dance number. We had less than 3 minutes to accomplish the runs. It's as if a couple of dozen trains coming from different places and traveling on different tracks all arrived at a station at the same time, safely pulling into their allotted spaces. But even before starting, it would take us almost an hour just to get the dancers lined up in the correct holding areas off stage, ready to make their entrance. We had scheduled 1 shot to rehearse the opening. It had to work the first time, or we would have to repeat everything. That meant going into overtime at a great expense. I gave the cue to start the number. The orchestra, singers, lights, and stagehands all commenced on cue, and the avalanche of 2,000 children were let loose on their tracks. The runs had begun. After about a minute, I realized something was wrong. There was a big pileup on stage left, and children were colliding into each other and bunching up behind some obstacle. I ran over to discover the source of the problem: Michael and his classmates. He had ignored everything and led the group from his school right up front, as close to the audience as he could get. Inspiring his dancing buddies, they were a crew of leaping, contorting demons, dancing up a storm but blocking some 600 other dancers trying to get through. I rushed up to them, yelling,